Hi, guys. Welcome to Own Your Essence, the podcast where healing meets empowerment. I'm your host, April DeMille, a psychic medium and a life coach specializing in grief, trauma, and toxic relationship recovery. This is a space for deep conversations, powerful transformations, and raw healing. Each week, we'll dive into soul centered topics like psychic mediumship, the supernatural, metaphysical wisdom, emotional grief, addiction, mental health, spiritual wellness, and self discovery. Through inspiring interviews and personal insights, this podcast is here to spread awareness, spark connection, and support your healing journey. If you're ready to set boundaries, reclaim your confidence, and step into your true power, you're in the right place. Let's own your essence together. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Own Your Essence podcast, where we get to have deep transformational conversations with some of our favorite people. I am your host, April DeMille, and today we are going to be speaking with Lynn Mull. She is a holistic career coach, Reiki master, author, and facilitator. She had moved from Wall Street to wellness to help women find their aligned path. Hi.
Hello, how are you, April?
I'm good. So, Lynn, can you go ahead and state your name, your full name, and kind of a little blurb about what you do?
Sure. Hi, I'm Lynn Mull, like mull it over. And I left Wall Street 3.5 years ago. Now I am a holistic career coach and Reiki healer, energy healer. So many names, so hard to describe.
Yeah, because so many fun things, though.
Yeah, all the
Yeah.
things.
So you talked about a little bit in your job form about, a career coach and abundance, and I feel like that was kind of the thing that caught my eye the most. So, I was going to ask you how can abundance be defined beyond dollars?
Isn't that the truth? There's so
Right.
much adulting in the world and the dollars and the cents and the budgeting, but there's this bigger picture. And I actually just reinvigorated all of my shrine, I call it, my work area. And I went for the copper, which is an energetic, big energy mover and shaker. And what I think abundance can mean how you support having everything line up and be in a flow state where you're easy. And when I mean everything, it's not everything all at the same time, but finding that flow state where you can receive. So, yes, money is always part of it, but is it love? Is it positivity? Is it finding, in the simplest terms, the best parking spot? It's where you can pull right in and have that moment in different areas of your life.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair to say. So you turned and you looked at the copper. Do you practice like feng shui or bagua maps or anything like that too?
I don't. I just did a little, I have a friend who's doing a lot of more natural home home decor, but I was cleaning out my crystals. I got my
Yeah.
angel wing here, and I just wanted to allow that abundance to come through.
Yeah, just kind of set the tone.
Set the tone, more intentional, and I'm having a Marie Kondo moment. I like to in these quiet, I'm on the East Coast, so in this quiet, very, very cold, very, very wintry vibes when things are slow. I like to have a moment where I can cleanse out. So that is part of it, right? Abundance means you don't want so much clogging your energy. You don't want the old sizes of clothes. You don't want, or that's how I practice. It's like having that moment to clear out so you can call in. That could also mean negativity. It doesn't have to mean stuff, although
Yeah. It's
20,
like
we all,
hard. It's kind of harder to invite something in if you don't make the open chairs for it.
exactly.
Yeah, that
It's
makes
flexing
sense.
that muscle. So I was just having a moment of cleaning,
Yeah.
which feels good.
Yeah.
Feels really good.
Is that something that you would refer to as like the energetic money hygiene?
So, so important. Absolutely.
Okay.
I think
Yeah.
a lot about it being part of it's like the 90s mall map when it wasn't electronic and it wasn't on your phone, it wasn't a QR code and you saw, here's the big X, like, here's where I am. You need to know where you are, both energetically, financially. I came from Wall Street, so the Wall Street part is always in me thinking about risks, rewards of financials, and we all have mortgages and healthcare. It's like all this stuff. Or for me, the teenagers who keep outgrowing their shoes. I'm like, can we stop with the
Yeah.
shoe growth? But the component of the money hygiene is also knowing where you are and what stories you're telling yourself about. We'll say money, but it can mean relationships, love, and energy of flow and abundance. So when I started dating my husband, I don't know if he's going to be okay listening to this. I'm just kidding. He came from a place of lack, this fear of the next job. He had been laid off many times for various reasons, a lot of merger acquisition in New York City. And he decided to take a lot of risk, but the risks didn't always pay off. And so he had this like cling to these really harsh situations. I'm like, this next job's going to be better, or this next mentor will be a different energy. And he talks about it, how I turned him out of a place of lack to abundance. But you want to know where you are. So are you coming from a place of lack? Are you taking risks just like go, 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 because you think none of it matters? And I call that archetype the maverick.
Okay.
Just all risk, don't care about the rewards, really taking too many risks. So I like having that. Who are you in your financial abundance? Who are you in your love abundance? Who are you? Like, where do you sit and what stories are holding you back?
Yeah. And so when you talk about the idea of money archetypes, what are those? What are those archetypes and how can we recognize our own?
I have a little quiz on my website,
Oh, okay.
and from years and years of working with clients, I am a holistic career coach as well as an energy healer. And my mediumship, I love talking to other mediums. It has come full circle. And there's about eight of them. So
Okay.
there's one that is around, I always miss one. They're like
Well, that's
children. I
okay
always
because
forget one.
we can put the information in the notes, and then if somebody wants to take that quiz, they can find it there too.
Right. So that let's say that there's someone, the maverick, I think of my brother and sister-in-law. They took a lot of risks, opened their own business that has since paid off. Then you have someone who is coming from a place of the hyper frugal. And all of this is okay. We all roll into our lives communicating a certain way, thinking about abundance a certain way. It's just no judgment, knowing if you want to shift at all. And we might take on different roles at different times or different archetypes, different communication styles. It just could depend on the age and stage or trauma or milestones you're going through. So, I think about someone who's hyper frugal. What are they holding on to? What is that fear-based model that they can't let go of? And then there's other people who love money structure. So there's an archetype around someone who loves the blueprint, who loves to have the roof on the house and they want to know what shingle they have. And they're really planning when we know the universe often has other ideas when we're hyper planned. The archetypes around abundance are about finding any blind spots where you might be missing having that flow state of money, love, self confidence. And so, what I like to work with people on is knowing where you are and then how do you get out of that, let's say, hyper frugality. And we're not going to change people and have a whole new rewiring of their money habits or their emotional abundance habits, but you can certainly start to shift and be more aware. Where do I need to take more risks? Where am I coming from such lack that I don't hire a coach to take my business to the next level? Penny wise, pound foolish. So it's about understanding how to shift. People often come to this when they really want a big change. And this is maybe not the easiest topic to talk about. And when we keep going, I don't know about you, but when we keep going over the same patterns over and over, and we keep going to our aunts or our uncles or our best friends, sometimes you need that third party or that quiz to say, like, okay, I need to really think about this differently.
Yeah, I think that having a voice of reason that's outside of your comfort zone makes all the sense in the world because part of those other voices you're listening to and giving energy to are some of the programs that are intertwined in your, reality
Yes.
that are holding you back.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, so I definitely think that that's pretty potent stuff for sure. So, what do you think what are the most common so-called blocks of abundance for women that you see the most?
I love the double click on the women piece of it. A lot of it has to do with confidence and fear. A lot of it has to do with, I see energy as tubes of energy. I see it, maybe a lot of people talk about chakras and it moving in a circle. So when I actually do energy work in this topic, I see it a lot around the best way, the most inflow people have energy that moves in these tubes very quickly and easily. Imagine a feather floating up and around and it can move in any direction. There is a lot of flow. And there's a break in that energetic tube. It's often in our heart space. I think a
Mhm.
lot of women find, and in our throat. I do believe that a lot of women fear that they can't ask for what they want or deserve. That can come in a raise, that can come in, hey, partner, I'm thinking about doing this side hustle. Or hey, I think we're spending too much, or I'm not getting what I need out of XYZ to plan to create that side hustle. It's a lot of throat, and I think we find often that the femininity of money isn't there, and it really can be. It can be that giving in a healthy way, giving to ourselves, giving to our families.
Yeah. Okay. And so, how would you say, I mean, our value and our worth definitely ties into that. What kind of insights do you have to offer on that as well?
When we come from a place of lack and old stories, it's often about asking, well, is it true? So I'll talk about working women or women working in the home who maybe don't recognize all that they're bringing to the table. If energetically you're in a negative self-talk situation, it comes and sits. For me, I see it in the back of the throat, in the back of the ear chakras. It's being influenced by other people. It's that comparison trap. It
Hmm.
is I love social media for connecting with people like you, April, but it's also sometimes we see people driving the fancy cars or having the material house or looking like I don't know, their kitchen is Pinterest worthy when I have some papers on my kitchen counter because of the kids it's like we do that comparison. Well, I'm not perfect, so I can't ask for, or I had that screw up on that one work call, so I really can't ask for that raise, or it's been too long. It's that doubt that comes in from comparison.
Yeah. Would you say that's like imposter syndrome?
Imposter, and I call it, it's like that perfection, people pleasing too. Well, I don't want to upset the
Hmm.
boss
Right.
and I don't want to
Scared to
ruffle any
rock.
feathers.
Yeah, scared to rock the boat. Yeah.
Right. So imposter comes with it, but it's that initial like, must be quiet, must be the good girl, don't ask for too much.
It's so
That piece.
funny that we're talking about that because just yesterday, um, I did a podcast with a lady that's actually like she does like sex relationship coaching,
Mm.
and it was so similar. The topic was so similar and totally tied up in abundance and money as well. So it's so funny that we're on this thread
Yeah, it must be energetic.
for
One of the
sure.
ways in which 2026 in the year of the horse has confused me, especially the fire horse.
Hmm.
I've done so much work with my clients, my community around staying in the feminine. And so, how do you stay in the feminine and have abundance? How do you stay in the feminine and not hustle to the point of exhaustion and burnout? We've got this gallop into the new year. It's like, really? We've all just been practicing how to chill out, how to shed. So for me and my clients in the community, it's maybe asking a few questions on what do you need to be truthful with for yourself. So it's taking that abundance quiz. And then how do you need to articulate it and to who? Oftentimes, women, I notice, and myself, I used to be like this. It's how can you say what you need to say in a way that resonates with the male counterpart or the masculine energy? So sometimes we do need to get clear on what we need and then almost translate it into the money abundance, into that we know what we need. So when we're clear, being able to articulate it, but you have to communicate in a way that others can hear you. Women sometimes over communicate, maybe simplify it. If you're
Yeah.
asking for a raise, I did these 5 things. This is what I need. Negotiating, simplifying. Often the men in our lives can't hear too many of the words.
Yeah. Yeah. With that, with that being said, though, you're talking about how can we stay in our feminine and our softness. And I'd like to add to that because there are so many women that do have to provide for themselves. And how do they find that balance when they're forced to provide and protect themselves too?
I work with a lot of breadwinners. Up until not that long ago, I was the breadwinner in the family. And I have clients who are single moms or single and providing. It's a really important piece. So we live in this very masculine container in this human experience, and there's so much good in it. But finding that way to schedule, I know this is hard and it does sound so masculine, but schedule the monthly money reviews, schedule the monthly containers with an advisor or every bank now has some sort of budgeting app that is not that hard, but I think scheduling it contains any masculine stress. And so you can have the rest of the week, the rest of the month to create, to creatively problem solve, to lead your team, to be that soft landing for families. So you're making things happen. You're recognizing all that you have provided and provide, but then you're giving yourself space to create.
Okay. So it's almost like you're batching your masculine stuff so that way the rest of the time you're more available for your feminine creativity, your softness. That I see.
And creativity doesn't mean you and I are, maybe you do, but I'm not a great artist per se. I don't have paints out. I dabble,
No,
but no,
I
I'm not
can
that.
uh I can get behind a stick figure.
Right,
That's
same.
about it. Yeah.
So everyone can define their creativity. It could be how you problem solve at work, how you show up with your family when there's crazy dynamics. That creativeness can be in many avenues. Maybe you just created the most amazing partnership and negotiate at the negotiation table. All of that is still in the feminine. It's not always a perfect science because the bill will come up or you need to review something for someone, but there is strategic planning that can come out of looking at the year ahead, whatever your year is, could be the school year, it could be the fiscal year, you can decide. But having also a outlook can provide some mental and nervous system sanity. For example, I know that spring break is coming up and how are we going to pay for that? Or I need childcare during that time. So having a couple of milestone moments, calendar batching can really help. It's helped me a tremendous amount.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm OCD, so like I can't survive without that. Because
Right,
I would literally lose my shit all day long.
right.
Yeah.
Not
So,
good. Don't do
right.
that. And
Yeah.
so you might need to look every day. For me, I've moved it to once a month and it can change. Like, what if something happens where you have a big outflow and you do need to be more on top of it? But holding on and procrastinating some of that is where the stress comes.
Yeah.
I,
Avoidance.
yeah, avoidance, it's not a place of abundance. Look at it. I have a couple of other fun ideas to make this more fun and more feminine too.
Well, and I think there's something even people have to understand how discernment works for themselves too, because there's a difference between avoidance and honoring a pause, and people need to learn that
Mm,
difference as well.
so true. I love a practical pause. And
Yeah.
hey, I need to go through this, or hey, I need to look at it. Asking for help. There's a lot new terminology. And I just had to I still have my financial licenses, believe it or not. You can have them for 5 years after you leave. And I just did some continuing ed, and there's a whole new continuing ed on crypto that didn't exist. There's a whole new piece on fraud. So there are always things. So if you need help, whether it's online, a trusted source, a friend of the family, an advisor, all of these, an app, just making sure that you do get the help you need because the stress is not necessary. Another fun thing that I have done is, let's just say you test the universe. Write in an envelope, and whether you put it in the physical USPS or not, but write in an envelope, I'm going to have this much come into my life. So actually saying like $10,239 and a really exact amount by, and writing the date out, or putting on a post-it, I'm going to get the new promotion by, and having the post-it somewhere where you see it all the time, on a mirror, for me, maybe a laptop, maybe in your car. I'm going to get this new job by September 30th. Putting the date, writing that down, and being shocked in the most amazing way when the universe does show up. And so you're doing an energy exchange with money, just like when you're paying for a good and service. The universe can support you when you test that out. So that's one of the first things I work with. Like, what are we actually trying to get to? And writing some of those metrics and numbers down without overdoing it and having some fun with it. Like putting a check in the mail to yourself for that 10,200, that's sort of fun. Do it. Put the stamp on it. And it works. I've had it work for clients, friends.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Well, and I feel like there's some really good practices like that too in the Law of Attraction book.
Mm.
Have you ever read that book?
A long, long time ago.
Yeah, that's a good one too. But these are good, like you said, daily little practices you can do to kind of open up that flow, open up that, just kind of tap into that universal abundance.
And being able to receive, you are worth it. You are deserving. I don't particularly love the word deserve. I think it has too much of a charge for so many of us. But being open to having, being open to your level of experience.
Yeah,
We're not teenagers screwing around anymore. We are getting stuff done. And so taking that worth in, and even if it's a hand on chest, hand on heart, or warming up your throat with some tea and honey and saying, like, I'm going to say what I want and I'm going to get it.
yeah. Well, just the self-care, the self-inventory, like all those practices do help you receive. And I know for me, I love to give. That's one of my love languages. But if I had to sit with receiving, that felt so uncomfortable for me for the
Right.
longest time. And it took a really long time for me to finally realize, oh yeah, this is good. I can do this. It's practice for sure.
So much practice, but that's okay. So maybe you start small.
Right.
Maybe it's, I'm going to win that raffle for that self-care gift basket. And I think that that's fun, and little winks,
Yeah.
and trusting yourself. So if you're going into a situation, a meeting, uh, something to have to do with your business, something to do with your family, and you also feel like something's not right, like a real estate investment, or taking on a partner, or doing this podcast. And if I got a ping that was like, you know what, it's not the right time for me to be talking about, listening to yourself and not feeling so much pressure in that not everything's a yes. So for you, maybe that receiving piece wasn't a yes for a long time, and now it is.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can honor that part too, for sure.
Mm,
So can I ask you, I think we have to go back a little bit, but you talked
mm.
about how you went from Wall Street to wellness. Can we talk about that transition and like how that came about?
I've been thinking about this so much more lately. Like, was I always this intuitive? And I think the answer is yes. I think it's hard when you're not surrounded in a wellness space to the degree I am now to be able to articulate it. For me, that was at 16, taking a family road trip from San Francisco to San Diego, and getting to Marin County and saying, I will live here. And I only said it to myself. And it took a really long time to get there, but I had this very visceral feeling of like, I need to live in California. And also where I went to college, like I had these visceral pings that I call them now. But
Mhm.
when I worked on Wall Street, I was doing all the right things. I was getting promoted. I Um, there was a lot of me who loved it, and I am very organized and type A in that area. Like I can project manage anything, including my household now. But what I started to notice is the toxicity. I wasn't being heard. And when you're younger, you're not always heard. And you're like, oh, I'm young. I'm the youngest at the table. These other people with more quote unquote power are going to be heard because they have got the bigger titles. But it turned out I got the big title and I still wasn't heard. Something's not right here. And I picked my head up at one point after my mom had been put in, it was, they don't use the word remission as much anymore, but remission for cancer. Work was going pretty well. We had had our two kids, and I'm like, I have to do something for myself. And started to study energy healing, started to study coaching, and just fell so much in love with it. I was taking clients morning, noon, night, after hours, weekends, and fitting them all in before and after my day job. And I just fell in love with the deep one-on-one work. I think the real turning point was my boss was murdered when I was on maternity leave. And it stopped me in my tracks going back to her funeral.
I'm sorry. That's horrible. I'm so sorry to hear that.
Thank you. It was very, very intense. Very
Yeah.
intense. Very intense and sad. And one of the harder parts for that was that it was by her husband, and we knew that they were having a lot of trouble, and
Oh my goodness.
he had had a traumatic brain injury, but we didn't I don't think we knew to the extent of,
How
the
bad?
abuse. Yeah,
Yeah.
the abuse. So you take on that guilt, but they really, and if I was there today and it happened, I don't know. We've learned a lot since then about mental well-being in the workplace, but they didn't handle it particularly well,
Yeah.
in my opinion. And I went back to work for her funeral, and her funeral was my first day back from maternity leave, and I saw people, a lot of men, but I saw people acting so horrendously at her funeral. Like the head guy he didn't want to say the wrong thing, so he made someone else at the last minute give the eulogy for our colleagues. And another person, I said, it's nice to see you, like, because it was someone I'd worked with and traveled with, and I hugged him, and he's like, well, it's not just nice to see you. And I'm like, we're at a funeral, so the way people were acting, I thought, I'd had enough of a maternity leave that I was like, this is not a normal environment, and we're not honoring Sue. And I thought to myself, honestly, April, I said, this place is gonna kill me.
Yeah.
I just felt the sickness and the toxicity living within me. And I learned that, I think, from my mom. I believe a lot of her trauma, she had imbibed stress just from a childhood, and no one in her family knowing how to handle stress. So, all that to be said, is I started to make a plan to leave, and it took a really long time. And now I feel so lucky to be surrounded by women like you who support nervous system regulation, who help increase other people's intuition, who give other people solace when they're feeling upset. For me, wellness is that going deep with a few. I used to stand in front of crowds of hundreds, in conference rooms, in ballrooms, giving talks about all sorts of things work related. And I just love to go deep and help people in small groups or one on one.
Yeah. That makes sense because there's so much there's s- I want to say it's just invaluable. Like the level of connection that comes when your tribe is smaller and so much
Yes.
yeah, so much more intimate.
Cut out the noise, and you can have those moments, and the veil is lifted when you can say, oh, I do work with a lot of CEO women who are unable to leave that environment, or don't want to, or shouldn't, for multiple reasons. And what they look like on the outside is not often what they are experiencing on the inside. So to bring them some calm as they have to stay in that environment feels like I've been gifted a gift I want to give back.
Well, right, it's an honor. It's a privilege to be able to step into those, those rooms and serve those women that need it for sure.
And some lucky men.
And some
It's the
lucky
men who
you.
always reply to my Instagram or my Substack, and like, you could use a session. You could use, but they're tiptoeing in, but they're always the ones that comment.
Yeah. So, what would you say was one belief about money that you yourself had to unlearn?
Hmm. I think that work has to be hard all the time.
Mm,
In this hustle culture, it's this grind, it's the mountaintop, it's the title, and I believe that some of it comes from relationship building, which is the softer piece. I will say that I was born with some, I don't know, extra chip DNA that I have never had a fear of money.
okay.
I've never had a fear that I couldn't figure it out. So when I was in high school, that was me working three jobs to pay for what I needed to get to college. I've always pieced it together. And I think that fear has allowed me to walk into doors that maybe I was too young to, or shouldn't have raised my hand, but it put me in front of people who became mentors or I learned from. Doesn't mean it was easy, but I also don't think having money or keeping money, or it doesn't have to be always be hard. Sometimes it is. Like sometimes you got to haul. Like if you're an accountant, you've got a busy season. Most of us have a busy season, a busy day. It doesn't always have to be like that. You can have those periods of rest. I don't know about you, but my best ideas, my best connections, my connections to clients after we've cut our session off, I always have these moments on a walk, in the shower, driving, where I'm like, oh, I forgot to tell them that. It's in those moments of quiet that I allow for more of, luckily, then I get the downloads.
Yeah, so I've noticed too with myself that when I'm not, busy with my, weekly 9 to 5 and all the things, when I'm sitting still is when I have the much louder, prominent insights. And the universe will also stop things and, just like full stop my work week, whatever, just to make sure I don't miss a download. So the kids, I'm a nanny, so I'm a private nanny, and my kids will get fevers, and then I won't be there that day because they're all sick, and then I will have the most powerful downloads and aha moments come in that day, and I'm like, I love how the universe scratches my back like every time.
Yeah. I have had two surgeries, one planned and one unplanned. And it really helped me solidify my own business and my own practices. Like, who do I want to show up for?
Mhm.
And it is the women, it is the working women, it is individuals who are ready to change and have that connection to themselves first in order to get those back scratches. And at one point, I'm like, how am I going to get out of bed? So to even have a pause where you have that day, you're like, hey, I've got this day where I can do the laundry and get downloads. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Um, okay. One truth every woman needs to hear. I say woman, but it just means anyone needs to hear. One solid truth anyone needs to hear.
My tagline is about living in the and there's ampersands my,
I
all
was actually
over.
going to ask about that, so
Yeah.
I'm glad that we went
Here's,
there. Perfect.
here's my all over my decorations. And it's that you have to recognize that there are going to be extreme circumstances or extreme milestones, birth, death, marriage, good and bad, um, in your life that are going to stop you in your tracks. But that you can always come back to the middle, and the middle is you coming back to your truth and not having these moments of assuming that hyper reactivity or hyper situations or extreme situations are going to be your normal. You can come back, and having yourself as your own guide first is, to me, the ultimate living in the because things happen. We
Yeah.
had a huge snowstorm here. You've had rains and fires. Like whatever it is, you have to operate from that place of calm yourself. And in order to do that, you have to get quiet.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that in a world that we live in, the collective is always stay busy. And actually that kind of comes back to some of the beliefs I even had about money when I was a kid, because my first belief was that one, you only get money if you're lucky. Only the
Mm,
lucky people got money, right? And then two, if you weren't busy and driving yourself into the ground, then it's because you were a lazy fuck. Those were my beliefs growing up, right? And so when we live in this world where a lot of that, there's a lot of pressure around everybody to like stay busy, grind, 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 hustle, 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 just to put food on the table. Like that, it's really hard to unlearn those
those
variables.
beliefs.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
hard.
It's
I
so
think
hard.
for me, I would have said productivity was a badge of honor. At the same time, you were like, for me, that was getting on airplanes constantly, never getting a break at work, and then getting pneumonia 2 to 3 times a year. I mean, that's not normal to have pneumonia in your 20s 3 times a year. It's just not. What was I doing? And why do we need to have all these meetings? It was a long time ago, so Zoom didn't exist, but we had conference calls like we could have done, and we had screen sharing apps. It wasn't the same as it is today, but there's ways in which we operated where I have to go to Boston from San Francisco for 48 hours. No, I didn't. I could have said no. And the bonus and the paycheck wouldn't have been any different.
Yeah, it was just a matter of how it made you look successful in a different way.
Right.
Yeah,
And I would
made you
come home
feel.
and be, yeah. And the burning it at both ends is not a place to stay. Again, we all have busy seasons, we all have things happen, but that moment of coming back to yourself and saying, what do I need now? One of my teachers always says that in yoga. She'll say, what do I need now? It's just an easy question. I don't think it has to be long. I don't, I, None of us can take 6 months off or have sabbaticals that last forever. It can be super practical.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that. Even if it's just like an hour here or 30 minutes
Yeah.
there, like wherever you can fit it in.
Yeah. And if you're listening to this walking or in your car, it's like this counts. This counts as your reset. Maybe take one thing we've said and allow that shift.
Yeah, like that little takeaway, let it plant the seed, you know?
Exactly.
So you have a book.
I have an Oracle deck, and the
Okay.
Oracle deck has a book in it.
Okay.
The
I was gonna
24
say.
Oracle deck. The book
Oh, nice.
The
Okay.
24 Oracle deck, I'm happy if anyone uses the code 10 TEN, I'm happy to honor it for 10% off of the deck. And I wrote it it has a lot about living in the and in there and ways if you don't use Oracle decks, they're very free form. And I have a couple of ideas on how to use it, but it talks a lot about a lot of prompts in there. I was writing a book and it got lost on Google. It got double deleted on Google. So
Okay, well, I guess
that
that's
wasn't the
not the
book.
book. Yep,
That's
that's
not the
not the
book.
one. Yeah, that's not the one for you.
No.
Noted. Thank you, universe. So, do you have any other projects in the works that you can share, or is that still kind of you're still trying to figure that out, or
So I've been really in love with Substack. And I have a community on there called the Ampersand, hence Living in the And Secret Society. And in there, we're going to get into more of money habits. We're going to get in on monthly ways in which we can find that abundance. That's a piece. And then in the fall, I'm going to do a 24-hour retreat. I love 24 hours. So if anyone wants to follow along, either my website, lynnmull.com, or Instagram or Substack, all under my name, I'm going to be announcing things there.
perfect? I love that. Lynn, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Do you have
Thank you.
anything else that you want to say before we say our goodbyes?
If anyone has stayed with us this long, please shoot me an email, lynn@lynnmull.com. We'll put it in the show notes, and I would love to give you a free card pull and a free energy reading. Just send me a little note, an email or DM, and I love to do that. I love to connect with women who just want a little pick me up.
That is an amazing offer. And so I'm super grateful that you have that to share and to give. Thank you for doing that.
Of course. So fun to
Yeah.
be here.
Thank you. So if you want to just help me say goodbye to my audience, bye, you guys.
Bye. See you
See you
soon.
next time. Thank you for joining Own Your Essence. I am beyond grateful to our guests for sharing their wisdom and to you, our listeners, for being part of this journey toward healing and empowerment. If today's conversation resonated with you, please feel free to subscribe, leave a review, and share this space with others who might need it. If you have questions, topic ideas, want to be a guest, or would like to work with me privately, send an email. I'd love to hear from you.